There's so many options for Game Week 3 captaincy, we're going to analyse the data to find out who the best pick is. First up as always is Mo Salah against United away from home. Secondly is Haaland against Newcastle away. We've also got Jesus travelling to the newly promoted side Bournemouth. And lastly are the Spurs duo, Kane and Son. They're up against Wolves and they've got the home advantage unlike the other players on the shortlist. It's worth noting that Salah and Son benefit from being midfielders, they get the extra point per goal scored and the clean sheet point potential as well. This week's honourable mention goes out to Kevin De Bruyne. His stats weren't as competitive as the 5 players on the shortlist, but he's still a decent option. Let's take a look at the non-penalty stats per 90 minutes for this and last season combined. Haaland's German league numbers have been converted with a 0.83 multiplier. Straight away we can see Salah's dominating this section. He's got a whopping 4.3 return points per 90 minutes and that's just non-penalty. That's a full point more than anyone else on the shortlist. He also tops the expected numbers by 0.6 as well. It's not surprising that him and Son are in the top 2. The other 3 players get 20% less points per goal scored. Moving on to the set pieces, Salah, Haaland and Kane are all on penalties. Son's on direct free kicks, indirect free kicks and corners, but Kane's the main man on the direct free kicks for Spurs. Jesus doesn't take any set pieces for Arsenal. If anything, he's the loser of this section. Although Kane doesn't take indirect free kicks or corners, he's still the winner of this section because he takes the most valuable, which are penalties, and the direct free kicks as well. The value of penalties means that Haaland and Salah take joint second place. Now let's take a look at the probability of each player scoring or assisting. These odds are based on the assumption that each player plays 90 minutes. We'll review the expected minutes later on in the video. Haaland and Kane are neck and neck on the anytime goal scorer odds. They've both got a 55% chance of scoring, which means that they're more likely to score than not. Salah's the toss of a coin with a 50% chance, whilst Jesus and Son are quite far behind on 41 and 39%. However, Son does have the highest anytime assist odds, but it's not enough to compensate. Jesus is the second lowest on the goals and assists, which gives him the lowest anytime return odds of just 57%. Haaland's got the lowest chance of registering an assist, but because of his anytime goal scorer odds, he's actually ranked second on the anytime return odds. Salah and Kane have the second highest chance of obtaining an assist, but because Kane's got the higher goal scorer odds by 5%, he comes out on top with a 68% chance of returning. Salah comes in at third place with a 65% chance of returning, that's 1% behind Haaland and 3% behind Kane. Don't forget that he does get the extra point for a goal and that's not shown in the clean sheet odds, so on the weighted odds, Salah's the winner. I know Salah's odds are worth more, but Kane has the best chance of returning, so I call it a draw on this section. Yet again, it's Jesus who's the lowest in the pecking order. On the points projections, Fantasy Football Scout and Fantasy Football Fix agree this game week. Salah's 0.4 ahead on Scout and 0.6 ahead on Fix. He's the undisputed winner of this section. By comparing the opposition's defence, we can see there's actually not much between the opponents this game week. This is displayed through the clean sheet odds, where there's only 3% separating all of the opponents. Bournemouth's championship numbers have been converted with a 1.6 multiplier, so they're on a Premier League level. If you average out the goals conceded and expected goals conceded figure, it's them and Newcastle on 1.5 per 90 minutes. But like I always say, the expected goals conceded are better at projecting future goals conceded than the actual goals conceded themselves. Don't forget these numbers are combined from this and last season. Newcastle have strengthened recently, they've kept 2 out of 2 clean sheets this season. Salah's opponents United didn't have the best of defences last season and they've been shocking this season too. The Wolves figures are quite misleading. They've got 1.1 goals per 90 minutes conceded, but they're actually joint highest for the expected goals conceded and those numbers probably will regress at some point. These figures emerge for home and away. They don't consider the home advantage, which Kane and Son have, which makes them slightly better off than what's on the screen. Salah, Haaland and Jesus are away from home, so they're slightly worse off. It's very difficult picking who's got the easiest fixture. I was going to say Jesus against Bournemouth, but they've got the highest chance of obtaining a clean sheet. I'm going to say the Spurs plays because they've got the home advantage and the expected goals conceded figure is the joint highest. Before we conclude, let's carry out a quick risk assessment. Each player has had an ample amount of resting time, they've had roughly a week's worth of recovery. Salah and Kane played 90 minutes in their last fixture, which is promising. The only expected minutes I'm concerned about is Haaland's. As we can see, he played 73 in the last match and is expected to play 69 in the next match. That's because he's injury prone and Pep pulls him off to protect him. Salah's got the most reliable expected minutes with 80, and Kane's just behind by 1 minute. If you've skipped forward to this bit, make sure you go back and watch the analysis because you might conclude with a different player to me. From what I've seen, I believe Salah's the best captain this game week. I've included the reasons on the screen for you. If you don't own him or you fancy a differential punt, I'd go with Kane. He's the only player on free kicks and penalties, he's got the easiest fixture with the home advantage, he's got the highest expected minutes, and most importantly, he's got the best chance of returning. Thanks for watching. I've got a team selection video coming out on Friday. If you've not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it.